So don't get it confused when you hear a black person say, I don't work for no white man. Oh, I don't pay taxes. I don't have to answer to nobody. You still do. You still are a prisoner of war. If you don't understand that, then that means you're something else, which I've already explained. I don't like to use these terms for black people like coon and sellout and all these other stuff. But when you're suffering from cognitive dissonance and post-traumatic slavery syndrome, then that means I give you the facts, I present the facts to you, and you still don't believe. All right, family, you already know what this is. Chauncey, aka Ukarema, Great Man of God Media, with another GMOGMedia Spotlight. All right, family, today's topic, I want to talk about black people are prisoners of war. Under the system of racism, white supremacy, black people are prisoners of war, and we have to keep that in mind and keep that in perspective in regards to all 9 areas of activity. Before I start on my commentary, if you're new, once again, my name is Chauncey, aka Ukarema, Great Man of God Media. I talk about issues that affect black people collectively as a group, and I also talk about issues pertaining to systematic racism, which is white supremacy, and I offer my suggestions on how to replace that system of injustice, that system of racism, which is white supremacy, with the system of justice. All right, so if you're new, please subscribe. So the topic, black people, okay? We are under the system of racism, white supremacy. So we are prisoners and we are at war. We have been at war since the first slave landed on U.S. soil in 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia. All right. We have been at war since the damn slave ships came to Africa. Okay. The first slave, one of the first slave ships, the good ship Jesus. So we have been at war, all right, for over 400 years. So this is nothing new, but we have to keep that concept in mind that we are prisoners of war. The question is, how do we get out of prison? And the thing about it is, family, is I laugh at black people so-called beefing with each other. And it doesn't matter what area of activity it could be. It could be economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. I think it's funny and it's sad at the same time that black people fight against each other, okay, under this system of racism, white supremacy, where when we are, again, prisoners of war. The warden is the system of racism, white supremacy. The warden controls the things. The warden controls the resources, the wealth, okay, the infrastructure. They control everything. We don't collectively as a group. Black people don't. So you have to keep that in perspective. So when people ask me to talk about certain topics or address certain topics and things of that nature, you know, that's cool, that's fine and dandy, right? People want me to talk about interracial relationships, bed wenches, you know, Negro bed wenches, you know, Uncle Tom, sellouts, coons, right? Things of that nature. That's fine and dandy. And there's this new thing about it's an acronym for it, MGTOW or something like that. From the research I've done about that acronym, it's about a bunch of men who are against marriage for women. All of that is fine and dandy, but we are still prisoners of war. You have to keep that in perspective. Like I said, it doesn't matter what area of activity you are in, you're still a prisoner of war. You can go into what you're watching me on right now, YouTube, owned by Google. Okay, and I've talked about this before. Google is the first most popular website and search engine on the planet. Google bought YouTube back in 2006. Okay, and number 2, YouTube is the second most popular website on the planet, with over 60 billion views per day. So when I see people on YouTube and these black YouTubers beefing with one another. They're talking about each other's channels, etc., etc. I don't care how many subscribers you have. You are still dependent on the dominant white society's resources to maintain your intellectual property. And again, I talked about this before. Research a Google SRE. A SRE is a site reliability engineer. Those are the people responsible for your intellectual property. Again, I'm a heavy advocate on information technology. And one of the recent articles that I came across was Google spent over $21 billion on IT infrastructure. Okay? Data centers, SDDC, which is software defined data centers, cloud, storage, etc. And all their equipment, by the way, is proprietary, meaning it's not available to the public. So they're not going to share their secrets on how they maintain their system. Okay? But we depend on their resources for damn near everything, if not everything. And also, when you hear black people talk about, okay, I don't need the white man, I don't work for the white man, etc., etc., right? I own my own business, I don't work for the white man, I could do what I want. You are still a prisoner of war, family. So you could say you got your own business, but you pay taxes, don't you? Right? Oh, you don't pay taxes? You got a church? Okay, well, you're benefiting from a law that was created and manufactured by the dominant white society. Okay, to be a 501(c) nonprofit, you have to abide by the rules created by the dominant white society to maintain your status of being tax exempt. So you are still under the system of racism, white supremacy. You are still dependent on the dominant white society's resources. So don't get it confused when you hear a black person say, I don't work for no white man. Oh, I don't pay taxes, I don't have to answer to nobody. You still do. You still are a prisoner of war. If you don't understand that, then that means you're something else, which I've already explained. I don't like to use these terms for black people like coon and sellout and all these other stuff. But when you're suffering from cognitive dissonance and post-traumatic slavery syndrome, then that means I give you the facts, I present the facts to you, and you still don't believe. You still don't understand. That's a result of cognitive dissonance and post-traumatic slavery syndrome. All right. So black people, you have to understand, wherever you come across situations that you are figuring out why are we in this state? Why is this so-called person, this person of statue, having a beef with another black person who's very popular, and I'm gonna just say their names. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say their names: Tariq Nasheed and Roland Martin. These are two guys I definitely admire. I respect their work. Okay, and regardless of what they're beefing over, and I see the Twitter responses that they done, and I understand that Tariq was on a Dr. Drew's channel. He said something about a woman that was affiliated with Roland Martin's Greek letter fraternity, who's he's a boule, or whatever the case may be. I understand that whole history, but when you have two prominent black people beefing with one another, they're having some kind of disagreement with one another, regardless of whatever the case may be, you have to understand they are still prisoners of war. We are collectively as a group prisoners of war. I don't care how popular you are. I don't care how much money you have. You can be a billionaire like Oprah, a billionaire like Michael Jordan, Bob Johnson. Okay, they are still prisoners of war. We collectively as a group, as I said before, we are still prisoners of war. So our main focus is to know how to and come up with a plan, come up with a code of conduct to escape prison, to get out of prison, the prison of systematic racism, white supremacy, in which they control all the wealth, resources, and the infrastructure around the world. You have to understand that, and you have to keep that in perspective, no matter what you are trying to do or what you are trying to accomplish. All right. So again, family, we are at war. Okay. We are being attacked on a daily basis, and we've been under attack for over 400 years. Again, like I said, ever since the first slave that landed on U.S. soil back in 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia, we are going to be continuously at war until we replace this system of racism, white supremacy, with a system of justice. So please keep that in proper perspective, family. All right, family, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Now, I really should say, make sure you like, comment, and empower yourself to not depend on the dominant white society's resources, so that we don't have to keep using YouTube, right, which is owned by Google. We can actually have our own video sharing website where we can compete with Google, right, and operate, own, and control our own resources in the IT tech industry. But again, there's not enough black people in the tech industry. There's not enough black people in a lot of a lot of industries, like the energy industry, for example, or scientists or engineers collectively as a group. I'll get into that in another video, family, but that's just me with the stream of consciousness to let you guys know. We have to stop depending on the dominant white society's resources. All right. Anyway, family, that's what I wanted to talk about. Make sure you let me know what you guys think down below. Chauncey, aka Ukarema, Great Man of God Media, signing out. Peace.